It was a nice autumn evening in September 1976. A 58-year-old Dr. Herbert Hopkins was chilling at home in his Maine residence. Maine, the state, not like his most commonly used residence. The house he had in the state of Maine. He was just enjoying some peace and quiet while his family was out at the movie theaters. Now, the phone began to ring. Hopkins was not a very social man particularly at this time, but he decided to answer anyways. A man who claimed to be a UFO investigator from a local group asked if he could interview Hopkins. Now, Hopkins usually would have said, "Heck to the no, man, I'm chilling right now by myself," but for some reason he felt like he should say yes, and so he did. Now, immediately after hanging up the phone with this UFO investigator, he noticed through the front door a man dressed in a dark navy suit, gray gloves, and a bowler hat. He was already heading up the stairs towards his house. Now, at first thought, this is fine. It's not a very big deal. Yeah, the guy just called him on the phone, was like, "Hey, yo, can I interview you?" He was already there because he was hoping he'd say yes. He did, so he's walking up. Except, here's the thing. It's 1976. These were the days before mobile phones, where you had to use a house phone or a payphone. Hopkins claimed that there were no phone booths nearby that would allow him to reach his front door that quickly. And on top of this, he saw no car in the driveway, no car to be seen. Now sure, the guy could have parked around a corner somewhere and sprinted to his door, but apparently he would have had to be like frickin' Usain Bolt or something. Hopkins greeted the visitor, welcoming him inside, and they immediately began to talk about the UFO case. The visitor didn't say very much. He was mostly just like, "Yeah, that's how I understand it to be," acting as though he already knew everything about this case. Now, at one point, the stranger brushed his mouth with one of his suede gloves, to which lipstick came off onto his glove. Sorry, that's just a little gay. Men in Black are gay, it's confirmed. This drew Hopkins' attention to his lips, to which he realized he had none. There was just a slit in his face. That was what his mouth was. There were no lips. He had lipsticked around it in hopes of hiding the fact that he didn't have lips, and it obviously worked for a little while because Hopkins didn't notice until he accidentally smeared it. Now, the man's eyes were dark but unremarkable. His skin was white and pasty. This man was obviously very strange. Now, at one point, seemingly changing the subject, the man pointed at Hopkins and was like, "Hey, yo, you got 2 coins in your pocket, yeah?" Hopkins said, "Yeah." The man in black said, "All right, hold one out." So he did. And as he was holding out the coin in front of him, it suddenly started to get fuzzy. And then it just disappeared.
"Neither you nor anyone else on this plane will ever see that coin again,"
said the man in black. He then asked if Hopkins knew about the Barney Hill abduction story. Hopkins did. He asked him if he knows how Barney Hill died. Hopkins said he was pretty sure that he died from a heart attack, right? Man in black said, "Nah, man. He didn't have a heart, just like you don't have a coin." Holy crap, dude! Oh my gosh, that is metal. Metal AF. Oh. He then stated, not asking, just stated, that Hopkins had tape recordings from the Stevens case. He instructed him to destroy these tapes and any other documentation relating to the case. Hopkins said that he wasn't indignant or angry, he just said to do it, matter-of-factly. Now obviously Hopkins grew a little bit concerned at this, with him being vaguely threatened and now commanded to destroy all of his UFO evidence. He felt as though the visitor was inhuman, more machine-like. Now, as the conversation began to slow and taper off, the man's speech got slowed and slurred.
"My energy is running low. Must go now. Goodbye."
The visitor clung to the railing and moved slowly and carefully down the steps, before hobbling his way over to a corner of a building off in the distance, grabbing the corner, resting for a second, and then disappearing behind the building. Now, Hopkins was very curious what was going to happen with this man and if he was going to see him drive out of there or not, but after a moment, he saw a blue flash light up behind the building. And that was the end of his experience. So, strange facial features and uncanny demeanor. the ability to move objects through other dimensions, and threats to delete any UFO evidence or else. These certainly are not the same characters from the movie we all love. Hey guys, I'm the Rat Man, and today we're looking at the odd case of the Men in Black. Yo, you guys should hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of 2025. We're about to hit 100, but if we hit 500 by the end of 2025, I will go on a cryptid hunt. Also, I've got a Discord. I'd love to see some of you guys there. Love talking to the community. Anyways, a man named Harold Dahl was on the water in the peninsula of the Vashun Island. He was scavenging for logs with his son and dog when suddenly they saw 6 giant UFOs begin descending from the sky towards them. Now, Dahl began to obviously photograph the living goose out of these UFOs, when they got too close, some hot slag slid off of the UFO, landing in his boat directly on his dog, killing it and injuring his son. Now, obviously, his son was rushed to the ER, nothing serious, nothing fatal, he was okay. The dog was dead. R.I.P. doggy. The next morning, a strange man arrived at Dahl's home. Oh my word, who could it be? The man invited Dahl to breakfast at a nearby diner, to which Dahl accepted. And the man was tall, muscular, wearing a black suit, and he drove a 1947 Buick. Dahl assumed that because of all of these things together, that he must have been from the government or the military as a representative. Now, over breakfast, the man told Dahl about his UFO sighting, despite the fact that Dahl had not shared publicly with anybody yet any accounts of his sighting. This once again just displays that these men in black have information that they should not have. Somehow they know. The man then gave vague threats about Dahl's family if he were to ever come out publicly about this UFO sighting. Now, Dahl eventually did come out publicly about it, and then immediately said, "Oh, by the way, it was all a hoax, I made it up." But then when questioned later, he said, "I only said that I made it up because I was afraid the man in black would come back for me or my family." Who can blame him? These dudes are freaking terrifying. But you want to see some even more terrifying things? Albert K. Bender founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau, the IFSB. Now, this group was the first major civilian UFO club in the entire world. Immediately after founding this club, very weird things began to happen to Bender. He was plagued with bad health, random strange phone calls, and telepathic messages. On top of this, he constantly felt like he was being watched. One night while he was at a movie theater, Bender felt like he was being watched again and began to look around. And behind him he noticed a man staring directly at him with glowing eyes. Bender finished the movie before rushing home, and the entire walk he just knew that he was being followed by this man. Another late night at Broad Street, he got hypnotized and levitated in the middle of the street. All of this is very bad, but the worst part, because it affected him all the time and was just really annoying, was the smell of sulfur coming from his attic. Now, Bender had more of an interesting goal for the IFSB than to just obsess over UFOs. He wanted to telepathically communicate with extraterrestrial life that was observing Earth. He sent out a letter, and with a specific date and time on it, all the members of the IFSB were to recite this letter directly. It said, calling occupants of interplanetary craft that have been observing our planet Earth. We of IFSB wish to make contact with you. We are your friends. Now, as soon as this recital was over, Bender's room filled with the most awful stench of sulfur ever, and he was telepathically ordered basically to stop sticking his nose in other people's business. At this point, a yellow mist appeared in his attic. Now, in July 1953, Bender was visited by 3 tall men dressed in all black. They looked like clergymen, but they wore Homburg-style hats. They told Bender that he was to immediately stop all UFO-related work, and then before leaving, he got a telepathic message from them.
Stop publishing.
After leaving, the yellow mist materialized in Bender's own upstairs room, and once more the vile sulfur smell began emanating from the attic. Now Bender was so terrified by this encounter that he didn't eat for days. Obviously, who would? That is horrific. And a year after founding the IFSB, Bender couldn't take the headaches, the telepathic messages, the smell of sulfur, and he disbanded the club. Bender himself believed that these men in black were aliens. Now the smell of sulfur is really interesting here because it's coming from his own home, which suggests that they have something to do within his house. Perhaps the machinery they used to spy on these people smell faintly of sulfur, and the one that was in Bender's was like especially strong or something, and that's how they know everything. Or, even more interesting, the smell of sulfur is often associated with hellfire. Perhaps these men in black are demonic in nature. In 2008, a man named Shane Sovar, who is a manager and he also did like bodyguard stuff at the Sheraton Falls View Hotel. He claimed that he had seen a UFO through one of the hotel windows. Now 3 weeks later, a UFO investigation team began to research this sighting. As they went around the hotel, they asked some people, and there were a few witnesses who said they had seen some strange men who were looking for Sovar. Lucky for Sovar, he wasn't there on this day. Now, these men in black were described a similar way to Hopkins, with the strange facial features and the lipstick type stuff. They were caught on CCTV footage, and they are the only video footage of men in black to this day. Of recording in 2025. Are the men in black possibly actually aliens in black? Are they working with the government to keep alien life a secret? What do you think is gonna happen to them now that like alien life is kind of openly accepted by at least half of the government? Are they even aliens at all? Could these be robots or advanced AI that we weren't aware of because it was experimental military tech? After all, these certainly give a feeling of the uncanny valley, a similar way to the human robots that we currently have give. Or maybe even they're demons. But why would demons want to make people stop researching aliens? After all, if aliens existed, wouldn't it suggest that God doesn't? No, actually, it doesn't, just by the way. But a lot of people think it would. Heck, we can't even be sure that these things actually come from the government. For all we know, they're their own rogue club that is just trying to stop people from looking into UFOs. You know, even if it was actually aliens, some of the men in black could be actual aliens. Maybe those are the ones that come in trios, because they always seem to come in either trios or by themselves. So maybe the trios are aliens, but then they also have robot tech that they send on some lesser cases, and that's when they send a single one by himself. I'm not really sure. All I have on these dudes is some speculation. There is nothing really solid about them. But one thing is for sure. They're weird as frick, dude. What the heck is going on here? Like, okay, I can absolutely understand a government organization telling people to stop talking about UFOs if they're actually trying to keep UFO tech away from us. But why are these dudes so strange and inhuman? Now, the men in black actually fit into my overarching Earth theory, in which I don't know if I believe this or not. It's just a theory that I made up that I find really interesting, in which the government is working with Satan and demons. Not like all of the government, just some select higher ups. I don't know who. They probably don't have their names publicly, but it's basically like Satan is the king of the physical realm. If you get into the Bible, that's like a thing. He's called the king of the air. So that being, maybe he's working with the actual like human rulers of the world, and so he works together with them, and so they have demonic power from Satan that he offers to them. They can play a weird reverse psychology game about aliens, and actually send legitimate demons to these UFO investigators to warn them to shut the frick up. Like, Could that be a thing? I don't know. Maybe. Who's to say? It's all just speculation, but speculation's fun and we don't get anywhere without it, so. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the Men in Black for now. They might come back later. Especially if I make a video talking about the overarching theory that I just mentioned, they might play a role in that somewhere. But that's all I've got for now. So if you enjoyed this video, you should hit subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I post another video. If we hit 500 subscribers by the end of 2025, I will go hunt a cryptid. No promises that I'll catch one, but I won't fake it. I won't fake anything, so, you know, we'll be fine. I could actually go hunting for the Rat Man, which is, I need to tell that story. The reason that my name is Rat Man is because of a cryptid that I saw in a tunnel. That would be terrifying, but I could actually go look for that thing. Anyways, if you got any video recommendations, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. It is greatly appreciated. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. It pushes me out into the algorithm so that more individuals that would like this video can find it. We've got a Discord, I'm serious. You guys should join the Discord. It would be great to see you there. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That is apt to change when I start college, possibly, but I'm gonna try to keep it up. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, I think that's gonna do it for this video. So I just wanna say thank you for watching. God bless. Ratman out.